and welcome to this amazing webinar. And karibu sana. This is an amazing opportunity to just meet and to address every one of us, every Kenyan, every individual, whatever nationality. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us in this webinar that we'll be talking about recalibrating, refocusing, and restarting. And basically, we'll be talking about a nostalgia of timelines. I don't know whether we have had that feeling, definitely as the year is fizzling and settling into the timeline. A lot of people feel very excited. I don't know where you range, and like the festive fireworks, we fizzle out. We tend to fizzle out. Someone was joking and saying that we are much more near to December 25th, the Christmas period, than Valentine's. I don't know how true is that. But we need to unpack our bags. We cannot deny that already certain things are in motion and we need to look forward. And I wanted us to know that it's okay to feel like that, the nostalgia of timelines. It's okay because there is a statistic figure that says, or the research shows that up to 65% of people report a drop in mood. Yes, report a drop in mood and motivation after holidays when returning to normal routines, sometimes lasting up to 2 weeks or more. And this is often called post-holiday blues. And it's an emotional temporary dip that is very, very common because it prompts the mind to shift from freedom, connection, and celebration back to work, back to schedule, back to routines. You are used to good vibes and inshallah, but right now it's the corporate wear, the corporate dressing, or if you're putting on a work attire, whichever work that you're doing, if you're going back to school, if you're going back to the system, if you're in college, if you're working in whichever dimension, you have to go back, and the celebrations that we had, the schedules and responsibilities, it's all fizzles out and it brings a bit of nostalgia, sort of a bittersweet feeling. And joined with me today, I have an amazing and an able panel, and I'd like them to switch on their camera to just introduce themselves. Let us get to know who is who, and please feel welcomed. Talk to your friends, tell them to come in, and we will be putting up a poll. Yes, let us look at the poll. So the poll reads, on a scale of 1 to 5, how easy was it for you to readjust after the holidays? 1 and 2 being very hard, and 5 being super easy, and 5 being super easy. And I'd like the panelists to share their experience. And you give us a number. Pato, Vivian, Maureen, you give us a number. So thank you so much. As you introduce yourself, please, you will tell us where you are at. But please, let us engage you. Let us get to know where we are at as Kenyans and as everyone. Thank you so much. To the team.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathleen, for that introduction. My name is Patrick Nyagudi. I'm a counseling psychologist at Chiromo Hospital Group in Bustani. Kathleen, the poll is asking how easy on a scale of 1 to 5. I'll say I'm at a 3 because I'm still having the expectation that holiday hakangeisha ama nipo another 2 weeks to readjust back to work. So I'll be at a 3. I'm trying as much as possible to get to a 4. I think by the end of this conversation, I might be at a 4, even a 5. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for being very candid and honest and giving us insights on also how you're keeping and how you're doing. Thank you so much. So we have Vivian to share with us how she's doing and where she's at, and Maureen.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. I think we'll be wishing each other Happy New Year for the rest of the month. I think I stand the same with Patrick. I think I'm also at a 3 in terms of, just trying to get into the swing of things. But I definitely know for sure as the week progresses, I will be at a 5 where I am very fit to actually, keep up, take the new year and what it has for us. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Vivian Okello, a psychologist at Chiromo Hospital, and I am situated at the Upper Hill Wellness Clinic office. And yeah, it's lovely being here. Over to you, Kathleen.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vivian, for sharing. And last but not least, Maureen.
Good morning, everyone. So as Kathleen has said, my name is Maureen Wanjiko. I'm also a hospital psychologist at the Wellness Clinic in Upper Hill Medical Center. As for me, I'm still trying to readjust back. January is still very new and fresh. So I agree with the team. I'm also at a 3, hoping by the end of the week or starting of the other week, we'll be at a 5 and fully readjusted back to the system.
All right. Thank you so much, Maureen, for sharing. And as you can see, the polls, we have a lot of people falling on number 3, meaning it's a bit 50-50. We are still adjusting, but so far so good. And thank you for everyone who's feeling like they're at a 1. It's okay. You're not alone. It's a very common phenomenon. And as I shared, it's 65% of individuals in the world, they report a drop in mood and motivation after the holidays, especially as we break into the new year. So let's keep on engaging, let's keep on interacting. And probably this is a question you could ask even your loved ones at home. If you have children at home, if you have teenagers and siblings, please get to know where they are at and normalize. Let's normalize these conversations, because transition and change is an ongoing process. And let us be very easy on ourselves. And we'll be having some form of discussion questions, and I'd like our panelists to just be present and we share. And I'd like to just ask, Patrick, what exactly are post-holiday blues, and why do so many of us experience them? Like when we're shifting from in between routines, what are they? Please, I'd like to know, so as an individual, from your point of view, and so that we can learn and we normalize this drop in emotion and motivation.
Okay, thank you so much, Kathleen, for that question. So when we are talking about post-holiday blues, kuna watu ambao wanasema on Monday is my worst day. Others will say I'm okay with Monday. So when we're talking about post-holiday blues, it's just the dip in a short-term emotional dip. Mm-hmm. Remember, short-term, it's not long-term. So inaweza kuwa just a few days or a week. Others will go up to 2 weeks with that emotional dip, but you rebound back, or you get back to your normal aspect. So I'm going to be a bit scientific and deep so that we understand this. So when you're coming from a break, be it a weekend, a long weekend, maybe long Easter weekend, ama serikali imetufanyia ile kitu, the weekend starts on a Friday, then it spills over to Monday. So your week begins Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So these particular breaks, at times when you are coming back to work, it becomes a bit of a challenge emotionally. Number 2, it's not only the weekend, it's not only the December holiday, it's not only the August holiday for our students or April holidays. Kila mtu akona hii time in you have this emotional dip, like I'm going back to structure. Ulizoea kuamka saa 4, but now your structure tells you by 7 you need to be in the office. You're used to sleeping at around midnight or 1. Structure says if you sleep at 1, you'll be late to wake up in the morning. So it is very important for us to understand that every human being is going to go through this particular blues. So you are not weird if you're having this particular blues. Now, there are common symptoms that come with holiday blues. Number one, low energy or low mood and sadness. Now, if you listen to this as a clinician or as someone who understands mental wellness, you might start thinking, Patrick is not giving us some symptoms of a mental disorder. No. Number two, fatigue and lack of motivation. I want you to listen to these symptoms very clearly because there's something that is coming up very, very interesting. Number three, you are highly irritable. Number four, trouble in focusing. So you get to the office, you can't even focus on, even you forget your password. And IT people usually have trouble after long breaks. January, I can't remember my username, I can't remember my password, or I just don't know how to log in into my portal. Then number five, feeling of emptiness and disconnection, and a strong resistance to normal responsibility. So when you listen to these particular symptoms of holiday blues, a psychiatrist, a psychologist will tell you, why do they sound like symptoms of clinical depression? It is not clinical depression. It is just your brain telling you, hiyo mbio yenye unataka kunileta, twende pole pole. So why does this happen? Again, science tells us that there are a lot of activities going on in the brain. Number one, there is dopamine drop. So dopamine is just the happy feeling hormone. So when you're in your holiday, when you're having vacation, when you're having these life events, your dopamine shoots up. Then come back to work, it dips. That's why we say that it is the emotional dip. So during the holiday, when you're in the holiday spirit, you are anticipating a lot of connection, you are anticipating a lot of happy moments, you are anticipating a lot of good things. Then it comes to an end because the holiday definitely comes to an end. Then your dopamine goes low. So your brain is telling you there is something missing because ulizoea kukua nyumbani, ulizoea kufanya vitu tu vile unataka. But now you have to get back to structure. KPIs are waiting for you. Maybe it's that particular moment of the year that it's a quarter ending, or it's just the beginning of a new financial year, depending on how your organization or the school calendar. January is the beginning of the term. So things are just like you're being bombarded with a lot of expectations. So when routine is changed drastically very fast, then we feel these particular symptoms that I had alluded to earlier on. And I'll say it is not a bad thing to have these particular spikes. So number one, what explains holiday blues is dopamine drop. Number two, cortisol rebound. Now, cortisol is the hormone which is responsible for stress. While you are during your holiday or your off days, your cortisol levels are on the low. Trust you me. Hata ujongi kuna kwanga kitu inaitwa stress. Then Monday comes. You remember there are certain targets you've not met. There are certain reports you've not written. And your boss is there waiting. Even though your boss is also going through this particular blues, but now yours becomes even more high because a lot is expected of you. So when you're talking about cortisol rebound, low stress or low cortisol, then it spikes at once. You'll get the blues. Number three, identity shift also explains a lot of post-holiday blues, whereby this was your identity. I'm resting, no pressure, no nothing. Then the shift comes, I'm responsible for this. I need to deliver on some deliverables at work. Then things will start changing. So there's no more time to say that I'm resting or I am free. Then number four, expectation of hangover, whereby Unakumbuka, as Kathleen, you said, the nostalgia, where I wish this never ended. Trust you me, it is over. We are back to the green. We are back to working. So at the end of the day, when we are having these expectations, it does not tell us that whatever we were going through earlier on was not important. It was important, but now we are getting into a more quote unquote, a more serious business that requires our focus, requires our concentration. It does not require a lot of laxity. So when we are having that expectation hangover, you are constantly reminiscing back what was. At times we forget what is and what is expected. So it is important, ladies and gentlemen, for us to live in the present. So why is this particular holiday blues very, very powerful? It's just about your nervous system telling you it is too fast. Come slowly, I'm readjusting. Give me time to recalibrate. So when we are looking at these blues, I'll say it's a very normal occurrence that we have, but later on we'll see when do we need to ask for help. So back to you, Kathleen. I think those are my insights on holiday blues. Kathleen? Back to you, Kathleen.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you for extensively and exhaustively expounding to us the post-holiday blues. And it's very important for us to understand. And Patrick, before you dash off, a quick question, just as a by the way, do you think it's very important for parents also to know, parents who have teenagers, toddlers, kids who are going back to school, do you think it's important for them to also know that this also happens in teens, children, young adults, anyone who has to go back to a system? Do you think it's important for that? Do the kids experience this?
It cuts across all ages, not even school-going kids. Now imagine this particular toddler who has been with the mom for quite a bit, then the mom has to go back to work. What happens to the child? That's the big question we need to ask ourselves. So your child is not abnormal. So they're just reacting to mom was around or dad was around. Now they're waking up very early in the morning. I wake up, I don't see my mom, I don't see my dad. So yeah, even children will go through the blues. So it is important for us to normalize this particular conversation and try as much as possible to bring the children very close so that they understand whatever they are going through is normal and it's just a matter of time and things will go back to the system that they are used to.
I like the fact that you have brought it quite plainly and you've given us evidence-based statistics, facts, so that we can be able to merge why, to explain the why and what it is. And thank you so much for that, Patrick. And Maureen, allow me to engage you, yeah? We have used very, very big terminologies, recalibrate, and the word nostalgia. Fine, we interact with the words restart and refocus, and we know what it means. But recalibration, for those of us who are on the call, ladies and gentlemen, think about an individual, a guitarist who has a guitar. Not that the guitar has an issue, but before they play, when they pick up that guitar after not playing it for a long period of time, they always need to tune it. They always need to fine tune it to just tighten some bit of those the lines that they normally play. So that is what to paint the picture of recalibration. That is what recalibration is all about. Now we have coming into 2026 and we need to readjust. We need to fine tune. So whenever you hear this word recalibrate, just think about a guitarist fine tuning their guitar. so that it can have perfect pitch. And that also now sort of escalates down to your mind. Are you able now to recalibrate as far as the poles are concerned? And Maureen, I'd just like to throw a question at you. We have used a very interesting terminology, nostalgia. So how can nostalgia, that is both positive and negative, because it's a bittersweet feeling, yeah, influence how we fine-tune, rather recalibrate for the year ahead? How can this, what role does it play? And you can tell us basically also what nostalgia is. Thank you so much for it, Maureen.
Thank you, Kathleen, for that question. Yes, and I would like just to start with actually us understanding what nostalgia means, because it can be a very powerful emotional experience. It's just how our mind revisits or reminisces about, previous moments that we experienced that could have felt very meaningful to us. We felt very safe, very happy in those moments, or even other moments where we were heartbroken or we were in pain or we were hurting. So it could play both ways. It's just us reminiscing about the moments of the past, or us going back to the past or revisiting those moments that we had in the past. And positive nostalgia can feel warm, it can feel comforting, remembering all those good times I had in 2025. And I saw this trend online where people were celebrating their big wins through, a cake, and you would name all the wins you had throughout 2025, and that's positive nostalgia. And it can feel grounding, it can be a pat on the back. I did this, I did that. But at times it can create quite a dissatisfaction to the present. I did all those things in 2025, so 2026 I have to do better, I have to go out more, I have to achieve more than I did in 2025. And now, when we constantly compare our 2025 to what we expect in 2026, we could feel that January could have started out, very slow, very disappointing. By now, I should have gotten, this and this and that compared to my 2025. And also, in negative nostalgia, on the other hand, it can open a lot of regret. Maybe there are things that hurt me, maybe there are things that were disappointing in my 2025. Maybe I went through grief, I went through a lot of unresolved trauma or even pain. And a lot of this can be brought about by the holidays. Maybe I remember people I lost in 2025 that I will not celebrate the holidays with, or even the new year with them. Relationships that have changed over 2025, versions of ourselves that we are not able to recognize in this new year. And the thing about nostalgia, when it takes over, how we recalibrate becomes difficult, because now most of our energy or most of our emotional energy is anchored onto the past. We are focusing so much on what was, instead of actually focusing on what can be or what is at the moment or at the present. So recalibrating, does not mean us removing the past or even forgetting it did happen, either positive or negative, but it just means that we integrate both our past and what our future holds, or what our present is. And what we need to be asking ourselves as we start 2026, instead of focusing on what happened in 2025, the positives of 2025 or the negatives of 2025. Rather, it's us asking ourselves, what did last year teach me about myself? What can I learn from all those experiences I had in 2025, both positive and negative? What does that teach me as I move on to 2026? What parts of myself did grow, or what parts of myself became better? What parts of myself can I improve on? What patterns do I no longer need in 2026? Because this is just our way of honoring, yes, we went through this, we had all these memories, positive and negative, in 2025, but also not letting it control our direction in 2026. And I think that's what recalibration means: integrating what was and the present and what is to come.
So
Thank you,
painted
Kathleen.
Thank you so much. You've painted that amazing picture, that small little break in the title, a nostalgia of timelines. And you've explained the positives and the negatives. And when you look at the year that was and looking forward to the year that is, it's not a mystery that sometimes we can feel that a bit of anxiety, not wanting maybe some of the things that we encountered in 2025 seeping into 2026. And with that, I'd like to pose a question to the audience and everyone who's in attendance, including ourselves. As Patrick has brought out the holiday blues, he has given us the scientific explanation of what how we are feeling. And Maureen, you have painted the picture of the recalibration of the nostalgia of timelines. I'd like to pose a question to all of us, including myself. Yeah, I'd like to inquire that if you are to reflecting on your own holidays, reflecting on the year that was and the holidays we had, what emotions or expectations as an individual why were you carrying into the break, and how do they affect your transition back? What emotions and an amazing way to just encompass all of this is, are you able to type one word, that one word that summarizes your holiday experience? Yeah, reflecting those emotions. So what title, what label would you sort of slap on what you went through to just summarize the nostalgia of timelines? Did you probably, are you going to label that whole experience, the holiday that was, and right now, this break of timeline as good vibes? It was good vibes. It was amazing. What label are you going to slap on onto that? As I invite probably Patrick, you can start that off with us, and I'd encourage the attendees to just drop in questions. Vivian is on call, and she will be taking notes of the question and answers. Please share your questions. We will be more than happy to learn together. So, Pato, I'm curious about this. What is that one labeling word that you would use to sort of label your timelines, the holiday that was, and right now, this moment, as we get to interact? Please give us that particular one word. I'm sorry, I've caught you a bit off guard.
Thank you, Kathleen. My one word would be way.
At you way? Really, Pato?
Because you see, coming from high spirits with family and just away from work. Not that work is bad, but away from work. Then coming back to work, meeting colleagues after a long break. So that's why I'll say it's way. So amazing.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let you have that. Fair enough.
Right.
And let me see how many. So I don't know. Is it safe to say that the people who answered the poll question as 3? And if you've joined us, please welcome. We have a poll question. Please feel free to just answer and take a poll. And in that regard, but what we don't run off, I'd like us to just, I want you to teach us and enlighten us on what are the common physical and mental barriers. Just in summary, what are the common physical and mental barriers people face when trying to refocus after the holidays? You mentioned the scientific explanation. You mentioned the signs and symptoms. You painted them. But what are the common physical and mental barriers now?
Right. Thank you, Kathleen, for that. The physical barriers, I'll give around 4 of them. Number 1, sleep disturbance or sleep disruption. When on holiday, your sleep patterns often change. So you have late nights, you have a lot of movies. So you increase even your intake of things that disturb your sleep. So what is the result of sleep disturbance? Poor focus, low energy, emotional volatility. So you're trying to think clearly on a foggy mind. Number 2, so blood sugar and nutritional swings. So during holidays, what happens, especially December holiday. People eat a lot of junk, a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar intake. So your system is constantly on the run because the sugars are high. So what is the result? Energy crash. Number 3, reduced movement. So when you're on holiday, uko Kiguna njia, you want to visit every other place. Like I know, Kathleen, if you are on holiday, 001 ni kama sasa wewe na 001. So the thing is, when we have reduced movement, now you come back to work, you are either on your desk or you are doing very minimal movement. So what is the result of reduced movement? Low dopamine and serotonin. So you have even heavier moods. Number 4, dopamine imbalance from high stimulation to a dull or a low stimulation. So what is the result of that? Everything seems boring to you, especially at work. So those are the 4 main physical barriers. When we talk about mental barriers, we have identity resistance. Remember, I mentioned I'm free, I'm not having a lot of tasks to now targets and deadlines. So the friction that comes here, it's very draining because now your mind is trying to readjust from free to target. So it's very draining. Number 2, emotional backlog. Remember, I mentioned, and Maureen has also told us about the nostalgia. So from high spirits to almost flat. So you can imagine what that does to your mental wellness or even to how you perform. Number 3, overwhelming or sudden structure. From non-structured life to very structured. If you're not careful, you might get a phone call from the HR because of the structure. So again, this is a barrier. Then self-judgment loop. So you judge yourself very, very harshly. I should be more motivated now that nimetoka break. Yet, reality is motivation is low because you're coming back to work. So these are the barriers to refocusing, especially when coming back to work. Back to you, Kathleen.
Amazing. Patro, don't run off. Not quite
running.
yet. Yes, and for the person who is an entrepreneur, who's basically their own boss, and for the person who has little children, and the kids are trying to adjust to, I've had you for 1 month, I've had you for 2-3 weeks, all to myself. Where are you going? Or it's back to uniform. I'm wearing uniform. So these 3 individuals, there's kids are going back to school, there's an entrepreneur, someone who's their own boss, and then there's that child who has to grapple with the fact that my caregivers are going back to the system of I don't see you for a bit and then I see you in snippets. Are there any common outlying, overlapping barriers, especially for the entrepreneurs? I'd just like to know whether it's any different from a person who's their own boss to an individual who's in a structured system. Yes, and then the kids, and then, yeah.
I think it cuts across whether you are self-employed or you're formally employed, because as a self-employed person, you know if you don't work, at the end of the day, the paycheck won't come.
True.
So you have to just readjust and tell yourself that I have to go back to work.
Okay.
Now, for the children, again, same case. But now I'll give a way forward for the children.
Yes.
Especially school-going children and maybe toddlers, at least they understand a bit. So if you do something we call systematic desensitization to them, like 1 week or 2 weeks before, you tell them that you know you'll be going back to school. You even prepare their bag, put it somewhere they see it. And I've done this with my son, and it's working miracles. So I tell him, tomorrow you're also going to school. Mommy and daddy are going to work.
Yeah.
So he constantly asks, are you going to work tomorrow? Am I going to school tomorrow? So when we systematically desensitize them about these issues, then it becomes easier for them to refocus. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you so much, Pato. I'm very, very grateful for that. Very amazing insights, especially on the systematic desensitization and the fact that it has worked for you. And Maureen, would like to see your face. And I'd like to know, Pato has given us the word "where" for the nostalgia of timelines. What about you? Which one word would you use? And while that is happening, I'd like to just throw this one at you. What are the practical strategies that people can apply this week? Being in a week, I believe that is it the third week. This year started in midweek on a Thursday. So basically, we can comfortably say week 2.5. What are the practical strategies that adults can apply this week to recalibrate, be they in the formal or the informal sector, their routines without overwhelming themselves necessarily? What are the practical strategies? Being the fact that we are in Kenya and in East Africa, what are the most practical things that you can just tell us, educate us? I'm actually very ready to learn also on my end. Thank you so much. And also don't forget to give us your word. We have Pato's way.
So I'll first start with the question. Remember, we said that recalibrating is us bringing, yes, our 2025 and also aligning it with our present or our future. But also, it does not mean that we are changing everything at once. And this being January, this being, the second week of the year, so many of us, I know you've made New Year resolutions, you've made vision boards, but I think the most common mistake we all tend to do is trying to change every single aspect of our life at once. I want to eat healthier, I want to get a better morning routine, I want to achieve this and this, I want to do this and this, I want to change this and this and this. But the question is it sustainable? Because recalibrating means us making small intentional steps to making our year better. Yes, I know we have all these plans we intend to do in 2026, but I think for us, it means first establish an anchor habit. Not 10 resolutions, not 5 resolutions, one. Because most times we tend to make all these newer resolutions, 10, 20 of them. But as we even process or proceed throughout the year, by the time it's the end of January, we are back to our old habits. And then we'll go back and say, making New Year resolutions doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't do this. But it's us who did it the wrong way. So get that one, start small. Get that one habit that you intend to do better. Could be your sleeping patterns, could be hydrating or drinking more water, could be movement, could be your morning structure, could be anything else. Then after you get that one habit you want to focus on, remember, we are not doing 10, we are not doing 5. Make sure that you reduce the expectations. Let's say I want to move more or I want to exercise more. You start small. I want to walk maybe from work to the stage or work from home. Not saying that I am going to I'm going to walk 8,000 steps a day or a week, because I know we all have the steps up, and most times we don't attain our goals because we put so much pressure on ourselves, on our mind, on our body. So I think mine would be just to start small. Make sure that you're intentional about that one small habit, and make sure that you're also putting rest a priority. Because most of the times, yes, we start the year with a lot of focus, with a lot of, that I want to do all these things in 2026. My 2026 has to be this and this and this. But All the time we forget rest, yet it's the most important thing to make you more productive in 2026. So as much as, yes, you've made your new year resolutions, you've made your vision board, make sure that you've not put so much pressure on yourself in all those things that you want to achieve in this new year, so that it does not increase pressure on yourself. Start small, grow as you continue. The year is still young, and make sure you rest along the way, because it's important. That's how you will increase your productivity. Be mindful, don't compare yourselves to different people. Our journeys are very different. So as you start this week, just get that one habit, just one resolution that you've set for yourself throughout the year. Make sure that it is sustainable. Don't say that you want to go and work out 5 days a week, yet you're leaving work at 5. That is not sustainable. You'll get at the end of January, you're tired and you've forgotten your new year resolution. So start small, rest, be gentle on yourself. You don't have to do it all in January. The year is still young.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Don't go, don't go. We are not yet done. Don't run, don't run. Do you think these steps, and I can't thank you enough, you've made it on, you've painted the picture of these steps being so applicable and very, very fine and very easy to adapt. Do you think they can be applied to children who are going back to school? Comment on the fact that, parents who have school-going kids and the young babies, as Patrick had mentioned, there was the systematic desensitization he did and it worked. That is in regards to transition and readjustment. But now, what about that parent and these amazing practical tips? Do you feel and do you think that they can be able to be applicable to the school-going children? If anyone is on call and they are a teacher or you interact with young people, do you feel, and which one is the most easiest to sort of adopt to this small little age group or this particular sensitive age group?
Could be healthier habits. I know during the holidays, children were so, screen time was not regulated whatsoever. They're home, they don't need to sleep early. Wake up late, so it's okay. You can watch TV, you can have, screen time with the phones. And then now it's January. Then you tell your child you need to sleep at 8 p.m. Yet they were used to sleeping at 10, 11. How do you go about that without, making them feel, as Patrick said, where it's January? So I think also for them, you start small. Yes, they were used to all this screen time. Start it small. Yes, they need to sleep at 8, but put an incentive. Okay, you will do this and this over the weekend, or you have more screen time over the weekend, or even start regulating their eating habits. They were so used to eating junk food over the holidays. And then now you tell them now they need to start eating healthy. They need to start eating vegetables. They can't have KFC every other time. So I think it's about introducing these small new habits to them daily, slowly, so that they can also readjust, recalibrate themselves that, yes, I am going back to a previous routine I didn't have. So if it's putting in very tiny screen time, just for them to also feel that, okay, not everything has just been, deducted all at once, or I can't have this all at once, and they're left feeling, where, yeah. So
Thank
even
you
with
so
them, it's the
much.
small steps.
Small steps. So the whole household is transitioning. Yes.
Yes.
And I like that. We need to be also very gentle with ourselves and with them as well, not to throw a fit. And I'd like to pose a question to the audience. Please feel free to interact with us. Please, which area is the most challenging for you to sort of recalibrate, reset, and refocus? And there is a poll that has been put up. So I will repeat that question. The poll is asking about, did you set your New Year's resolution? When there's a new year, there's often the pressure of setting new goals, new resolution. I resolve to do this differently. I resolve to maybe innovatively do something I was doing. I have gotten a better way. So please interact with that poll. And I've thrown a question to the audience. Please utilize the chat box. Which area was, or rather, is the most challenging for you to sort of recalibrate? Is it your sleep routine? Is it your exercise routine? Is it the whole grooming routine? Is it the motivation? Is it the relationships? You're going back to work. You're going back to an occupational a place. Some of us maybe are working and we are still in school. So there's that aspect of structure. So maybe you are in a romantic relationship and you used to spend time with your partner, and right now you have to incorporate work life, you have to integrate. So which area is the most challenging for you to sort of fine tune and recalibrate? Please, let's interact. I would really, really like to hear. Vivian is assisting us in the chat box, and just small little questions now for Patrick and for Maureen. And more, Patrick, I'd like us to just know in a quick summary, how does refocusing differ merely from resetting? You know, sometimes we sort of look at words and we think that they're synonyms, but there's the word refocus and then there is resetting. And why does that matter for long-term well-being? Just a quick question that you can just tell us in an interesting manner so that we can do now Q&As. Wholly, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'll put it in 3 statements. So when we're talking about reset, it's a short-term relief. Just the same way you will, when your phone is not working properly, you might want to reset it back to factory setting or reboot it. At times when you're going to some applications, inakata kufungua, what do? You just long press the power button, then there is a power off reboot. What do? You reboot so that it works. When you're talking about refocus, it is long-term realignment. So you are realigning. You are not doing anything like restarting or what. You are asking yourself, what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work? How can I make it work? I hope it makes sense. So when we are looking at well-being, when we are putting the two together, so one depends on the other. So refocusing will highly depend on reset, but you need to be very keen that you don't zero in so much on the reset, because reset, things will start working and they will crash again. So on refocus, you might crash, but you might bounce back. So in summary, reset is more reactive, refocus is more proactive. Kusha.
Mic drop. Thank you so much. And Maureen, as you take a sip of water, I'd like to invite Vivian. She's been diligently manning the chat box, interacting with us, and I'd like her to just show us, to just put on her video, take us through the chat box. We want to hear and see what we are talking about. Thank you so much, Vivian. Please take it away.
So I think we have a very lovely audience today, a very interactive one. So from some of the comments on the chat box is we have a participant named Dash who says he rates himself a 3 in regards to how prepared he is to transition back to work. We also have a Ruguru who says she's very grateful for last year's achievements and looking forward to what the year holds. There's also a question that has been thrown to Kathleen, which I will allow her to answer that shortly. But some of the areas of struggle in terms of transitioning back to work that have been noted on the chat is that someone says getting back into dating, getting up early, managing screen time, especially when it comes to X as well as WhatsApp. But a good chunk of them talk about waking up early. And I think this is now in relation to, having to go back to work and then coming in close again is relationships. So getting back. to getting into, the space of dating. Others talk about time management, working out, and there's someone who has noted that after the holidays, they tend to be very impatient with themselves. Now, on to the question that has been posed to Kathleen on the chat is that would you say the anxiety that strikes us when the year begins is healthy because they think this is what makes us not adjust well? And then I think the follow-up question will now be on the practical strategies that are going to help us manage the blues that come as a result of, transitioning from the holidays back into the workplace. But I think Patrick partly answered this question. How do we help toddlers transition back to school? And then what are the practical steps that adults can take to help them transition back healthily to into the swing of things? So I think I can allow Kate to answer the question on anxiety, and then we can flow on and on with our conversation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vivian, for taking that amazing time to just paint for us the picture and to bring the charts in the Q&As very alive. And thank you for everyone who's being very candid and honest that time management, we need to just recalibrate. It is taking a bit of time. So you were asked, the one who's asked about the anxiety, that is an amazing question to ask. We were looking at the definition of, and we painted the name nostalgia of timelines because there is a bittersweet moment. There is a bittersweet feeling. Anxiety will come when we are worried and we want to control the events of the future. It's the aspect that we cannot control the future and we want to sort of take charge of our future. We don't want probably what happened in the previous year to follow us maybe within the new year. So what I'd like to tell us is we have control of our attitudes. And as Pato has talked about, the reactive and the proactive bit, we need to do what is within the scope of control. And then we let the ripples speak for us. Because the anxiety of the new year is very common. Like I said, 65% of mood interruption happens when there is that crossover of holidays into a normal period. So you have to be on the lookout. We'll take that with a pinch of salt. It's okay to be anxious, being a little bit worried about what the new year holds for you, especially if you have very big goals and very high attainable things that you need to attain as an individual. You have your own personal goals. So that is also a very good aspect, that you are very conscious about your new year. But there is an outlier. The emotional roller coaster shouldn't take a long period of time, more than basically 2 weeks. That is what we need to look at. The restlessness that comes with worrying, the issues with sleep, the sometimes lack of motivation, presentism, lack of concentration. It should not go past 2 weeks. And also the intensity. Are they in the sense and in the manner that we normally look at something called the 4 Ds of abnormality, of abnormal psychology? Are they causing you a lot of distress? In the sense that you're maybe breaking down, you're panicking, you are emotions that are literally written on your face, fear on your face, and they're interfering with your normal functions. You're not able to readjust and to even work and to give results. That is in the first 1 month. The distress. Are you in a state of dysfunction in the sense that I'm not productive? At the end of the day, when we look at the definition of mental health, we look at, are you fruitful and are you productive? It has nothing to do with the presence or the absence of disease or infirmity. Are you in a state of dysfunction? If you're a parent, are you able to carry out your parental duties? If you have a spouse, are you able to still become a spouse to your partner? In your friendship circles, are you doing what you need to be doing? Or are you a bit lagging when it comes to functionality? And then we look at the third D, that is the danger. Are you a danger to yourself and to others? Are you having thoughts of harm to yourself and to others? So with that aspect of the anxious feelings, are they resulting to all of this? And the fourth D, I think I'll let Maureen to assist me with that. I think it has sort of disappeared from my mind. There's the fourth D, as Maureen answers us an interesting last question. So what role does community play? That is community, connections, or support system play in helping us restart more confidently? What role does community, connections, and support system help us in restarting more confidently? As you tell us the fourth D of abnormal psychology. Thank you, Maureen.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Mo.
I think it's danger. Did you say danger? But as I answer the how does community, remember, we cannot recalibrate by ourselves. We need each other. Human beings are social beings in nature. Human beings are destined to regulate with people. We cannot do it alone. And support does not mean that we are looking for advice. What should I do in 2026? What should I not do? Support looks like having somebody who can actually make me accountable. Yes, I said my 2026, I need to do this, I need to do that. Someone who's accountable on my behalf or makes me accountable. Support could also mean presence in terms of friends, family, colleagues at work, just being present as I go through my 2026. And also, as we were looking at how do I just, come back to January, come back to work, how do I recalibrate from, the holiday blues? I think one thing that we mentioned and we ought to take very keynote is we need to drop, how people say new year, new me vibes. I think we need to drop that because it puts a lot of anxiety, it puts a lot of, distress, it puts a lot of pressure. As we said, start small, choose one area that you focus on, be more self-compassionate on yourself. This year is more about choosing you. And even as we go through this discussion, get people who are there or are present who can make you accountable throughout the year. They can offer that shoulder to lean on when the year, you know, gets to a point where it's just way, because there'll be good times, there'll be bad times, and that's how life generally is. So support means getting people who are actually intentional about being around us, people who we can count on, and people who can make our 2026 much better than 2025 was. So it's not about finding people who are there to, tell you do this, do not do that in 2026, but people who make you more accountable of yourself through friends, through family, through peer mentors, through colleagues, through mental health professionals if it gets too tough. Remember, as much as we are choosing ourselves, it's also okay not to be okay, and get help for that.
Wonderful. Maureen, don't go yet. Someone has answered our fourth D, deviance,
Oh,
deviating from normal patterns and cultural appropriation. Something that is cultural appropriate. My heavy tongue has refused to roll that way. But it's amazing that you have shared the aspects of community and togetherness, and that the fact that human beings are social beings. Yeah. So I'm curious of the fact, and I'd like Pato also to weigh in on this, as Vivian now will be able to take us through the chat box. I can see individuals are still interacting with us. So, Patrick and Maureen, from your perspective, and I also throw the bone to the audience, do you find it easier to restart goals with a friend or on your own? Vivian, Maureen, come back. Do you find it easier to restart goals with a friend or on your own? So please comment on that, the two of you, as the audience also interact with us. And this is in regard to the role that community plays. Do you find it easier to restart? There's that aspect of herd mentality and security in number. So I don't know for us, how do we feel about that?
I think I will go first. So for me, I find it easier to restart with family, especially as we start the new year on New Year's Day. Tradition, our family tradition, or one of our family traditions is just have, a lunch together where we discuss, what we want our new year to look like. And as we go through the year, I will find at times, my mom will call me, are you still doing this and this and this? Are you still, focusing on this and this and this? So that makes me accountable, as of I would have done it by myself, where it's okay, I can just let it slide. If I wanted to probably exercise more, it's okay, I'll just not do it. So I prefer doing it with someone or have that support from people around me.
Right. Thank you so much for painting that. Don't run off, Maureen. We'll be coming back to you. Patrick, what about you?
I think I also concur with Maureen, and I look at it from a very interesting perspective. When you want to jumpstart a car, you need another car to ensure that your engine runs. So having someone around to hold you accountable, to help you map out maybe where you might lack insight. So having someone around is very, very key. It could be family, it could be a trusted friend. So let us not neglect community. Back to you, Kathleen.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. We will come to the final question. And I think the final question just paints a deeper picture to the 4Ds. But Patu and Maureen, you can weigh in on the final question, and you can be marinating on it as Vivian will take us through the chat box on what people are sharing about. And as she also shares whether she finds it easier to restart on her own or with other people, family, her social group. But the question goes like this, Patrick and Maureen. If someone is still feeling stuck or heavy after the holidays, what signs might indicate they need extra support, and where should they turn? So you can go double Dutch, Pato and Maureen on this one as Vivian brings to us the live chat box. Vivian, take it away.
Thank you so much. So there's a comment on the chat box by Jadida who gives us a practical tip when it comes to adapting this particular framework. And she says that growing up, one of the hacks was being bought new uniforms, shoes, school bag, etc. as we began the new year. And that helped a lot. And it made it easy, since one looked forward to, you're looking as a kid, you're very excited about new things. When am I going to wear it and all that? So adopting a similar approach, even to, transitioning back after the workplace would ideally be, good. So for me, for example, what I have been doing in the recent years is that as December is winding up, I will also try and get myself new clothes so that I am really excited to wear them to work. And, because you come to work looking good and people, they compliment you and that feels good. And then Caroline Macharia says that when it comes to, transitioning back, is that she likes to put a lot more pressure on herself than other people put on her. That is going to help her, actually get that particular drive to, to do what needs to be done. So at an individual level, for me, I would say I am the opposite of Patrick and Maureen. I prefer starting my years very, I don't alone by myself, because I am that person. I tend to recharge when I spend time by myself. So the most New Year's will find me alone by myself, trying to really get back into the swing of things, because from December you're coming from a lot of family time, a lot of socializing, a lot of putting yourself out there. So just having alone time is good enough for me to just help me, ease into what is expected of me and some of the goals that I have set for myself into into the new year. Back
All
to
right.
you, Kate.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just going to prompt Maureen and Patrick again about if someone is feeling stuck or heavy and it's lingering, it's past those 2 weeks, it's still lingering, they're still having issues, readjusting, or you're taking care of someone and in the same household, you have noticed one of your loved ones or even a child feeling stuck. What are the signs? Which signs might indicate that they need extra support? And where should they turn?
Okay. So I think I will start and then Patrick can give his thoughts on the same question. So for me, I think struggling does not mean that we are failing. And at times we need extra support here and there. We are just human. And at the end of the day, if you notice any persistence in, feeling sad, feeling hopeless, or you're withdrawing from friends and family, you're having difficulty in coming back to functioning at work, you're having difficulty in concentrating, you're losing interest, I think those are the things that we look out for to know that extra support is needed. And it's not, a sign of weakness or anything like that. It just means that you're strong enough to ask for help when you need it. So I think, Patrick, you can share your thoughts on the same.
I think another thing that we might want to look into is when we have changes in your sleep and eating habits. And as Kathleen said, we look at the time frame. If it is persistent for more than 2 weeks, then that is a red flag that you need assistance. So other physical symptoms such as constant headaches, fatigue, unexplained aches, or emotional strain is something that, again, we need to really take into account. So, and where can we get help? If you're in a formal place, like you are employed, and your organization has the employee assistance program, it is a good place to start within the work environment so that you get support within the place that at least they know you professionally. So EAP will work for you. Number two, therapy also works. If you feel constantly things are not adding up, seek therapy. Number three, support groups. Are you connected to someone? And someone said that your network equals your net worth. So if you are well connected, then chances are someone will point it out to you that you are not okay. The other thing that is important for us to consider is using these particular helplines. There are so many helplines that are available that we can utilize when we are struggling. So please ensure that you utilize the resources that are available to you, the resources which are available within the country and within your spaces, so that you don't really slip into clinical disorders that are brought around by the holiday blues. Back to you, Kathleen.
Yes, while you're still here, Maureen and Patrick, I'd like also Vivian to just share with us before we close. Just one word for your mindset as you launch into this year. Something you want every person watching online to carry into the first month of 2026, which is that one word from your mindset that you want us to stick with. And we can have Maureen starting off with for us, Patrick, and then Vivian.
Consistency, I think, is my word. Consistency in doing the small steps that are intentional for our well-being or intentional for us taking care of ourselves or loving ourselves better in 2026. So consistency is my word.
Patrick?
My word is I am capable. So we are capable of dealing with the blues, we are capable of bouncing back and being the better versions that we really need to be. Thank you.
Vivian?
I think for me, I'd say maybe nourish, focusing on being gentle as well as steady care for your body, your mind, as well as your spirit. So nourish. How about you, Kate?
Amazing. Thank you.
How about you?
Pardon?
What will be your word for the year for us?
My word for the year, just being gentle with ourselves. Be gentle. You have conquered the new millennia in a very interesting manner, 26 years down the line. Be gentle with yourself. Yes, at least don't be so hard on yourself. Don't chase perfectionism, but rather, as Maureen said, consistency. Showing up in small bits. And I have shared the numbers of Chiromo Hospital Group. We are very big on mental well-being. If and should you notice anyone within your vicinity, at your workplace, your family members, even children who are struggling with the post-holiday blues, they're struggling to recalibrate, refocus, and restart, we will be more than happy to assist you. Please call our lines. I have shared on the chat box and I can be able to read them out. Please visit our website and encourage all of us and interact with us. There is a pop-up that you can directly seek inquiries and ask questions, but we have an outpatient center at the Upper Hill Medical Center, just around Nairobi Hospital. It's a walk-in center. We are open to assist you. There is the 0750-927-232. Should you have a friend, should you have a parent, should you have a loved one who's really struggling, a colleague, they have tried the EAP or they may be a bit skeptical and afraid to go to utilize the EAP. They don't want the helpline because they need a face behind the helplines. You can call the 0715 and also the 0743 894 164. Let us be our brothers keepers. This is the mobile number of the Upper Hill Medical Center. We have that line on WhatsApp. Please interact with us, chat with us, and confidentiality, according to the Mental Health Act of the Kenyan Constitution 248, is accorded to all of us. We will be treating you with a lot of professionalism and care as we seek to make every Kenyan well, every Kenyan and in any walk of life. Please reach out to us. Support is available for all of us. Please utilize these phone numbers. Save them for future reference. Save them when you need even just to do a psychological assessment, to get to know where you are at, not because you want to diagnose you. No. Remember, I mentioned mental health has nothing to do with the presence or the absence of disease or infirmity. And as a parting shot, I'd like to just tell us and to remind us that it is normal to feel a dip. It is normal. My scale is also at a solid 3. It is normal, but it doesn't have to define the month. It does not have to define your month. And small, purposeful shifts beat great and giant and realistic goals. Small bits, marathon, don't sprint. You tend to last longer. Yeah. Planning ahead is a form of self-care. Planning ahead is a form of self-care, and self-care is not selfish. And connection and community accelerate recovery more than solo effort. That is why we are here at Chiromo Hospital Group. We are also a very strong support system for you and for your family. Please come one, come all. Let us interact. Let us help each other to recalibrate, refocus, and restart as we beat the nostalgia of timeline. And Maureen is talking to us and she's saying that this is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but perhaps the end of the beginning. Okay, Maureen, I see what you're doing. You're not behind or broken. Rather, you are recalibrating. Applaud yourself. applaud yourself and look at your milestones. And we are here to offer support. Remember, Upper Hill Medical Center, walk in at the 3rd floor, room 3C, call that number, WhatsApp us, interact with us, bring your teenagers, come one, come all, come in as a couple. We can also look at goal setting together. That's why we are here. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'd like to just leave this open for any one of our panelists, Maureen, Patrick, Vivian. If you have a parting shot, please share. But I'm done. And thank you so much for taking your sweet time on this amazing Monday morning to join us in this amazing discussion. I have learned quite a lot. So to the team, please, any parting shot?
All the best is my parting shot, Kathleen. Thank you.
Very brief and concise. Vivian, what about you?
I would like to say Maureen has spoken for me as well. So you can take her words with you and keep them very close. And it can be a point of reflection anytime you feel like maybe you're dropping the ball.
All right. And if you need to do any form of referencing to this webinar, share with your friends. It will be posted on our socials. So check out our socials, Chiromo Hospital Group on all platforms. And we'll be more than happy to keep the discussion going on X, on IG, on our WhatsApp numbers. Please engage us. Thank you so much as we recalibrate, refocus, and restart. And as we look at the timelines and we ease into the new year, happy 2026 and have an amazing one. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that is the end of our webinar. We may live at our own pleasure and leisure. Thank you so much.